and welcome to another episode of FooBar. In today's video, I want to show you a demo of the sync integration pattern from Step Functions. I have talked about the integration patterns for Step Functions in a previous video where I introduced the free integration patterns that are available. We have the synchronous job, we have the request response, that is the one that you might have seen in all the demos, and then you have the wait for callback token, and that's the next video after this one. So I want to show you in a little more code and hands-on this pattern in action so you can see how you can use it in your application. So let's get to it. So I mentioned in the introduction video of this pattern that services that are integrated into Step Functions like Batch, ECS, Step Functions, Bedrock, and other services, and there is a list, and I will leave you the list in the description box, allows you to ask for a task to complete, a long-running task to complete while the state machine waits for that task. And all this happens in the standard execution. So we have the standard workflows, these workflows that can run for 1 year. And if you have, for example, to run a SageMaker task, you can use a .sync integration pattern. I will show you in a second. Basically, you can fine-tune a model or run some kind of training, and the step function will run this thing and wait for SageMaker to finish and then continue the execution. And the same happens with Batch if you have a lot of jobs to do or a big job to do, or ECS if you have some container task, or Step Functions if you have another big state machine to run in the meantime. This is really good because if you remember from our chat with Ben, Step Functions standard workflows, you pay for transitions. So if you don't have to wait and you don't have to create a wait action, then you are basically stuck in state, in this case, for example, the SageMaker training, and you're just waiting there, but without any change, so you're not paying for anything. Your state machine is idle, it doesn't cost you anything, SageMaker is doing its thing. When it finishes, it returns back automatically, it reinitiates the whole processing. One important thing to understand how this works, this service integration uses Event Bridge in the background. So when we define the state machine and we give the permissions for the state machine, you will see that you will need to give permissions to Event Bridge to work with these rules, because this is how the different services will notify the functions that the whole thing is done. So that's important, and I will show you the code in a second. But let's first look at how this thing will look without the synchronous thing. So let's go and I will show it in action. I have here a state machine. So this, let's open it in the Workflow Studio. I have here a state machine, and this state machine calls another state machine. Yay! So in this case, it's not using the synchronous mode. So you can see here, it says start execution, basic request response pattern. And then we have this other state machine, let me open it, that runs a long running job. Basically, it waits for 60 seconds. So let's keep this one open and this one open, and let's start the execution. So we start the execution of the parent state machine, and this is without the sync. So see what happens. So this starts and finishes. And then here we will have another execution that will run for 60 seconds because basically this is just waiting, and then it will finish. And the two state machines are independent from each other. Basically, this one has a request response, and because Step Functions are asynchronous, it will just ask for start this thing and then it will forget about it. And in some cases, this is a good kind of solution and is what we need. We want to have these two state machines independent from each other, but in some cases we want the result from the nested state machine to go to the parent state machine, and for that we need to wait for the second state machine to finish. So that we can achieve with the synchronous pattern. So let's look at it. Let's go to the code, and all the code is available in GitHub as always, so you can find the link in the description box. And I will show you the code for the state machine, the main state machine. So this is a SAM template. You can do exactly the same with CDK. I have shown you how to work with CDK and step machines in a previous video, but I like SAM for this type of demos. So here we have a state machine, and the definition is here. So we can see the main state machine definition using ASL. And you can see here that this has one step. This main state machine is very simple, and it starts a new task that is executing another workflow. And you can see here that it has this sync. And this is important because this will do that kind of connection between the two state machines in this case. You can do it with SageMaker, ECS, or any of the integrated things. Then in the parameters, we pass the state machine that we want to run. This is the parameters for this thing. And then I will pass the execution ID for the input of the state function, but you don't need it. Then, yes, we pass in the definition substitutions the ARN of the nested state machine. I have the definition here for it. It's very simple. It's just a very long wait of 60 seconds, so nothing interesting here, it's just demo. And then the interesting thing is the policy. So here, let's open them and let's see. The first thing we want to have is an execution policy that we can basically start the nested state machine. So that's important to have. You need to have that one in place. And then this one is a weird one that you might get confused if you never use a sync method, that you need to give permissions to this particular rule to be able to put events and describe rules and things like that for Event Bridge. So this is what I was saying, that we are using Event Bridge. Step Functions is using Event Bridge to get the notifications and the events from this other state machine that is executing there. So we need to give permissions for this rule that is in the custom bus, in the main bus from Event Bridge. That's something to have in mind. Now we can deploy this. So we can do some deploy and we wait, and that will modify the state machine that I just showed you, and we'll update it to be asynchronous, have this synchronous job to call the previous state machine. So I'll see you when that's done. So now, basically, this is updated. We should see the .sync in our main step function. So let's go here. Let's check the definition, and we can see now that we have the .sync. So let's start a new execution, and now what we will see is that this main step function will stay blue, basically in progress, while this other nested state machine runs. So now when this one finishes, it will notify the parent one that it's done, and it will move forward. We need to wait for 60 seconds until everything is done. I'll refresh and see, but it just has a 1 minute wait, so it takes a little while. But this is quite cool because everything is now connected and we don't need to do it manually. So as you saw in this state machine, there is nothing that is linking the event with the previous one. We are just basically connecting them with just .sync. It's very simple. 1 more minute, a few seconds more. So now it's done, and you can see here that the state machine was executed. So we can see this one should be green as well. And then here, if you click the output, you can see the output for that state machine, the inputs and the output. If there is anything interesting you could be seeing it. In the previous scenario, you will just see that, okay, this was acknowledged and let's move forward. And now if we have some output in the nested state machine, basically you can get it here. So this is a short video, but I wanted to show you this in action. I hope you like this video, and the one for wait for a callback token is coming afterwards. So don't forget to subscribe, enable notifications and all those things if you want to see that in action. And if you like this video, always please give a thumbs up. Those are free and it really helps the channel. And the code is always in GitHub, so go and check it out. If you want to learn more about the integration patterns, I leave you the video where I introduce them all and I go more in the theoretical details, so you can find it here. And also this video belongs to the Step Function playlist where I'm going into the depths of Step Functions, so if you want to learn that, don't forget to check that playlist. And I see you in another episode of FooBar. Bye.